Get away from Brian. Thank you for being here. And tonight we're super excited. We're going to be actually giving people an idea of the 6 weeks program of the Unshakable Masculine Blueprint. And these are our wonderful brother who are a founding member of the Unshakable. And Brian is sweet enough to support us in this whole journey. And he's going to be interviewing us of why two women are leading a men's circle. And what does it involve with the Unshakable Masculine Blueprint for the 6 weeks program? So please take it away, my wonderful Brian.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And you asked the first question already. So, Ree and Victoria, why have two women started a men's group, a men's circle, if you will?
I'll jump in. So not only the fact that both Ree and I have had a calling to do this, we have men in our lives, both partners as well as our children, and we found it to be extremely important to help support men. And the primary reason is because women, as being women, we bring a different perspective to being able to see men in a different way. We're not competitive with you. And so when men generally get together, there's always this camaraderie, but then they got to one up each other. Oh, and I got you. I got you. That's not generally how women work. And so we're not going to bring that component into the sessions that we run. We can actually mirror you. We will hold space for you and we will mirror what you're bringing to us. So, not only a different perspective, no competition, us mirroring you, we also have the ability to work with you without the armor. Again, it goes back to that competitiveness with men. Not only do they want to compete, but they can't show weakness, no emotion, no vulnerability. When women come into the space, those things kind of melt away, and we can provide a safety net to allow men to open up and to express themselves without being judged. So those are a couple of reasons. I know, Ree, you've got more.
Mhm.
Now, those are big reasons, and I don't disagree with you, um, on your read of men. But, as you said, you have men in your lives. You've had fathers, you've had possibly brothers, uncles, and children. So, uh, not that we're all the same, but I think you gave a very good descriptive way of men. Ree, what are your thoughts?
Thank you for that question. Very good. One of the biggest thing that I would say is that it's very, very important. There's many coaches out there that helps men, but the biggest proponent that makes us stand out among other coaches, we really, truly love men. We love the men in our life. We love our boys as well, our sons, but also our brothers, such as Brian, Devin, and so many who are a part of the Unshakable Masculine Blueprint. We believe in you guys. We know we can only imagine the heaviness and the load that you guys have to carry and walk around the world, and the need to actually keep yourself productive, sane, protector, provider. It's a lot on one's person's shoulder. So having a calling, both Victoria and I got these downloads and these intuition that tells us we should pivot our business from serving women, and we're always going to be serving women, but right now we're in this mission of wanting to do more for the men because there's a lot of resources, a lot of coaches out there for women's, but so little for the men in terms of the resources. And because the men in our lives are so important, and for our boys as well, we want to hold that space for the men. And there is a huge calling, and we want to honor that calling. That's why we started the Unshakable Masculine Institute. Victoria to name a couple of reasons why two women are leading a men's circle. First and foremost, just get this straight. We are not here teaching men how to be men. That is not what we're here for. What we are here for is two powerful women who have gone through our life's challenge and circumstances. Victoria being in the field of the lawyer, the corporate company, really stepping in the masculine energy of performer, competitive. She learned the hard truth of that works to a certain extent until it doesn't work anymore. And for me, it's after losing my baby sister to depression and really having my life flip upside down to realizing life is short. I got to stand for something bigger than myself. Then leaving a 17 years marriage has taught me a lot how what it is I want from a male, how a man should show up to be healthy in a way for a woman so that she can be healthy and show that she can expand herself and be the nurturing in her feminine energy to making this world a better place. And when, like, men don't need like a woman to be unshakable, but in the right presence of the right woman, she can actually amplify and catalyze him to a whole new level. Like that is undeniable. In history, we need the man just as much, but when you have the right woman, she makes you better. And so that's what we do for our men. And also, the other thing is that when you're in a woman's presence, it really pulls the man in into becoming more whole as who he is and not broken parts and pieces of who he is in the competitive, performative side. We hold the space for you to be safe, to be not judged, and to fully be aligned with who you are and work through that you are. Like my favorite saying, I'm every woman. A man is every level of the man, and we bring that completeness to you. That is what makes us stand out.
Thank you. Thank you. I also agree with the things you said and how you put it, and it makes sense. Um, I think you quoted a Whitney Houston song, is it? I believe. Very good.
Okay.
She was a magnificent singer, a very good song. So I know in one of our last sessions, and I do agree with this. One of our last sessions, you had mentioned that men have a blind spot that you are able to, I don't want to say not fill, but I think we all have blind spots. Every one of us, every human has a blind spot, and it's called a blind spot because we really can't see it ourselves.
Mhm.
Uh, I like this term. I was thinking of a group called the Blind Spot Buddy because we all have them. What do you think gives you and Victoria this power or this ability to really understand men's blind spots?
I can start us off and then Victoria can finish this. One of the biggest thing that makes us be able to see the blind spot. Technically, women are extremely intuitive compared to men. Let's just be real here. We all have different skill set, and men are extremely strong. Like as strong as I am, I can't do the heavy lifting like the men does, and so many other quality of being so focused and solution focused and really, honing in. I don't have that kind of talent like the men's do. So I know what the men's strengths are and what the woman's strengths is. But one of the biggest thing that I find is now in society, there's so much confusion in what is a man's role. Like how do you want to behave? Do I be like the macho man, like the alpha guy, and like crush everybody down, whoever comes in my path? Or do I become a little bit more feminine, like stay home, take care of the kids, and be so like tuned down in terms of my performance, of my crushing and my solution focus? We come in there and really allows you to be able to see both blind spots. Both those things are good. You don't have to choose either or. What is your preference as a man? Because every man is different and we come in all ranges in different colors. We just want to hold the space for a man to be less confused, to honor himself, whether he is more on the masculine side, but yet be able to embrace his feminine energy as well. Because not as a question of being a man or a woman. We both, as women and men, have both energy, masculinity, and the energy of the feminine energy, and how to bridge those two worlds together. And we are powerful, and we as women have learned to step in our masculine energy to be high performers and to crush the business and to do it well. But we know deep down we should be more of in our feminine energy. We do not like to have to access that energy at all time. So teaching men to be able to see the blind spot of, hey, this is what society tells you you must be. But you don't have to be all of that. What is the confusion? Like, where do you stand? So that's one of the blind spot, I would say. Victoria can complete the rest.
That's interesting.
You're
That
slightly
brings up, I'm
closer.
not going to
Yeah.
tap out
Mhm.
because I mean, growing up in the 70s, 80s, you weren't told how to be a man because your father was an example, or your grandfather was an example, your uncles were an example, neighbors were an example. And I think in the last 25 years, they've really tried to tell men that we're too masculine. That's where this term masculine, what do they call it? It's a negative term, obviously, but we shouldn't be so masculine.
Mhm.
I believe that's on somebody's agenda to take the word man out of manliness and masculinity. And I do think young men are maybe confused because they're told that, as you brought up, our instincts are to be that hunter gatherer protector, run, be the head of the ship. And you don't have to be that pounding on your chest type of guy to do that.
Yeah.
Not everybody, you don't have to be that guy. I believe you could still be very masculine and stay home and watch that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you have more feminine side. You could still be an alpha male and
Hmm.
be at home. Unfortunately, I think we've created this image that if you do stay home, it's not very masculine,
Hmm.
and typically the people that do stay home are less than, just like we did with women. My mom was a homemaker. I would put that woman up against anybody with a degree, a doctorate degree, a lawyer degree, anything, who's out there in corporate, and they could not do half the stuff my mom did. We've taken away this ability for a woman to be a homemaker and feel good about it. You could be a homemaker. I've never met women in today's world that were more of a woman than my mom and her friends were. And none of them went out into the working world. They didn't have to go out and prove themselves by getting a 9 to 5 and working in a man's world. They were never questioned. And all of a sudden, I think both men and women are being questioned about, if you're not out there in the man's world, what are you contributing? Well, I wouldn't want your job as a woman any day of the week. What women have to do and go through, I don't care how masculine you are. Women got a crazy tough job, especially as a wife, as a mother. Along with all the other roles, you're a doctor, you're a cook, you're a chef, you're a homemaker, I wouldn't want that for anything. Women are crazy strong. And
Hmm.
I think what our society's forgotten, especially these progressive women, are we weren't put on this earth to compete. And
Hmm.
that's why, women need the same jobs as men. They need to go out there and compete. No, you know what? We were put on this earth to complement each other.
Hmm.
That's what we were put on this earth for, is to complement each other and to become one. We are two sides. We're for each other. we're not here to compete. But yeah, I agree with everything you
Yeah,
said.
so I
Victoria,
mean,
jump on
to
in.
that point that you just summed up here, that we're not here to compete, we're here to, you know, complement. I feel is that when we can help men be at terms with their masculinity, it allows the woman to be at terms with her femininity. Because there are roles, and they're not the stereotypical roles that, you know, we may have grown up that women need to be in the home, women can work. But there are certain things that we are better at. Women tend to be more nurturers. Men tend to be stronger and providers. So when each sex, each gender is allowed to be their true self and not having to pick up the slack for the other, then they can be true to themselves and they can be very complementary. And so when we see men that, particularly the men that we are focusing on, are more in the midlife area, they may have accomplished a boatload of things, but now they are seeing themselves in a situation of like, oh, okay, I'm here, lifespan is here, I've done this much, but why doesn't it feel right? Why isn't, it feels hollow. What I've achieved doesn't have the same importance that it may have had before. And there's this turning point that we all reach in our lives at a certain point of like, why am I doing this? Is this all that there is? And we want to help men figure out that no, this isn't all that there is. There is so much more. And when we remove the expectations, the societal expectations that we just talked about, you have an enormous amount of potential available to you, but you have to be strong enough to take it. There is courage, a lot of courage that is behind this because we're talking about shadow work. We're talking about, learned behaviors, beliefs, things that we have all grown up with culturally, societal, religious, whatever, that creates the lens that we are viewing our world through. And when those beliefs and lenses no longer serve us, it's now time to let go work to go in and realize what's holding you back. And, you know, no one can do that but you. We can help guide you, we can help facilitate, we can ask the hard questions and, hold you to it. But unless you want to make that change or that growth or release whatever it is, we can only lead a horse to water. So,
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I want to
And
add something really quickly, Brian, because there are comments into our Facebook Live. So I shout out to another brother, Dan Armstrong, which is a 16-time best-selling author. He says, "The right woman makes you better." I totally agree. I'm still trying to impress my wife after 38 years. And that is so amazing. She deserves more, but she generates the attention because she supports this my goal. So that is very powerful to the testimonial why two women are leading a men's circle. And we're not competing against other men who we're all for the same thing, supporting more men to become unshakable, to attain their greatness, to build a legacy that they can be proud of. So, yes, Brian, go ahead. I just wanted to give a shout out to Dan.
no, no problem. And I do agree that we are better when we are there supporting each other. And um, I think both men and women do hit a point in their life where they look back and say, kind of now what? And men aren't great at being vulnerable. And that's, I think, a big part of what you allow men to do, which would be my next question. before that, I remember the term toxic masculinity. That's the term that this new breed of women threw out and declared us, you know, hairy chested, go out and work men are to a toxic masculinity, which I think is brought up by a certain type of woman that maybe just doesn't get it. I'm not sure. But that my question it brings up to is as I talk about vulnerability and being a part of your 6 week course, uh, you definitely brought out the vulnerability in all the men that were involved in your course. What exactly, uh, uh, and it doesn't have to be the 6 weeks, but what kind of topics do you cover in your course?
Yeah. Do you want to start this? Yes.
Sure. I mean, the first off, we talk about perfection. Perfection is something that I think we all fall prey to, but in the world of men, it 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 means not showing the vulnerability that you just spoke to. It means putting up this facade, putting on this mask that I am strong, that nothing bothers me, and all of that. And I love the fact that we start off these 6 weeks and we draw it through the entire 6 weeks with perfection because nobody is perfect. I'm sorry, we're all human. So to be able or to think that you have to portray that because if you don't, you'll be viewed as being weak. That's one of the first hurdles that we need to overcome to have the results, or at least the opening up the door for men to see that there's so much more out there.
Remember
Ready?
my answer to that? It's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Exactly.
So, all you men out there and women, stop chasing perfection. There is no such animal. It is about progress. Take
Mhm.
glory and feel good about progress, and you will be a much happier person. Chase progress. Perfection is about the journey. So chase progress, not perfection. Ree, what else do you cover in this 6 week course?
So we have week one is freedom from perfection, introductory to freedom from perfection, to really removing that mask, that need to perform to impress, because it's all bullshit. Like, seriously, we want you to step in as who you truly are. The man that you are will accept you fully. And we want raw, real, authentic discussion. So week number two is emotional mastery, is how to all through the year that you've been programmed to repress all of your emotion, how to deal with certain stressors, certain trigger, knowing that you might experience frustration, irritation, anger, and yet still be happy. How do you manage all of that and still honor yourself? Then in week three is relating to woman, is being a man. The often asked question is, I've been married to my wife for so many years. I still don't get her. How do I actually understand woman? So we give you the golden nugget of what research shown, but also we give in terms of our experience with working with our clients. And then Victoria share her 3 tips of how what really qualifies of a man who understand and how he needs to show up for one for her to feel safe, cherished, and heard. So, as well as for me, my 3 tips. And that was one of our most popular discussion that we have from the men. And week number four is actually on masculine presence. And we actually had a guest speaker who's worked with many, many men. I think he has now over 600 to 700 men in his men's circle in Malaysia. So he talks about the masculine presence. How do you show up in a room without proving yourself? Just the moment you step in the room, you haven't even said a word, but all eyes turn and look at you because you just have this magnetic presence and confidence of who you are, and you're not going to apologize for what you are or justifying yourself. So that is pretty powerful. And week number five is on leadership and accountability. And Brian, you were one of our special speaker. That was a really hitting point
Thank
as
you.
well. You're so welcome. It was so powerful. Like Brian was talking about no more excuses. We're not going into the excuses. In order to change or make progress, you need to own up and take responsibility for what you're experiencing in order to turn that and leverage that to your advantage. And the final one was actually on purpose and power, which is to be able to do something greater than yourself. And then in that phase, we kind of circle back to week number one. We did an initiation of the flame of a brotherhood, and then we did a certification and what you accomplish. You know, people ask, like, within 6 weeks, like, what could you possibly get in terms of a result? We see it firsthand in our Unshakable Masculine Brotherhood, is that in 6 weeks, they always say it takes 30 days to change a habit. And we did it purposely the 6 weeks because we knew habit can only be changed after 30 days, and we went a little bit beyond. And this is an introductory 6 weeks program. It gives people a glimpse of what's possible. And I know that after all our brothers there, the standard of the man they want to become has completely deepened and shaped differently. Oh, and I'll turn that question back to you, actually,
I
Brian. Go ahead.
No, I agree. I agree with what you said. So two more quick questions,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. What are the benefits? And you have both mentioned quite a few of them
Mhm.
in answering the other questions, but what other benefits are there of being a part of this men's circle?
I think outside of the own internal work that you all have done and that we facilitate, it is that brotherhood. It was mentioned
Right.
here, we have two of you that are supporting us. You all opened up to each other. In most instances, none of you knew each other. None of you knew the circumstances by which you were
Yeah.
called to join our group. And literally, I would say after the first, session, when we all kind of got our footing, there was humor, there was teasing. I mean, nothing was off limits. Ree and I were brought into it, even though we wanted to be flies on the wall. We're like, no, we got pulled into what are you working on? What are you doing? The camaraderie it was beautiful. And to be able to truly, from my perspective, not know you men and to engage with you virtually, I truly feel like I can call you brothers because there was just a connection that was built and woman to man, but just watching man to man. I mean, if you could have been high-fiving or wrestling or, we're drinking and, we did basically it all. And I think men, oh, even women, as you age, the opportunity to create connection with a person from your own gender is not as easy. It's just not. Life takes over. And to all of a sudden now have new friends that you can engage with. I mean, that's magic. I mean, I love that.
We can actually
Thank
ask
you. Awesome.
Devin. Yeah, we can actually ask Devin, who's here, Devin. Like, he's so sweet. He's here supporting us so quietly. So maybe you can ask Devin, and then maybe Brian, you can share your experience from week one to week six. But let's hear it from Devin. Devin, you came into the Unshakable Masculine Blueprint, not really exactly sure what to expect. I mean, you've done some other coaching with other men's circle. This one really stand out for you. So tell us your experience.
This was just an interesting experience. I mean, it was positive all the way. I mean, from the very beginning to the very end, it was incredible. Meeting different people throughout the whole world. Um, it it to say this about a men's group, it was beautiful. It was just wonderful meeting these people from different walks of life, to different cultures, to different men. I think I was the oldest one in there. I mean, at 55, and I was the best looking. But that's neither here nor there.
Devin, you're 0 for 2.
And so, but the thing is that the men that I met there will be my brothers for life, no matter what. And that is beautiful. And I love, I've been through men groups before, but this one was special because it was through the eyes of women. And to do that, it was just great. The love that you two had for men to make better, that was incredible. And it was daring, and I appreciate that, because most men would not step foot into a women's led men's group. But this one I support 110% because of the material that you presented, the way you presented it. It made me better as a man. I mean, it was fantastic. And I can't say anything negative about it, because it was one. And the cool thing is that the brothers I got out of that was just amazing. I mean, it was 100% positive, and my dogs are arguing, stop. And so, but yes, I am so blessed and so grateful that I was invited to this.
Thank you so much, Devin. That was so amazing. And just so you know, on the live, you're getting a lot of hearts. And there's a whole bunch happening on my live feed right now. Like there's a lot of hearts, a lot of laughing. So this is good. Brian, how was your experience?
Well, I agree with Devin. And, I think he put it very well. I think he speaks from the heart. And, I think the one thing one of the many things we probably share is it did make it easier to be vulnerable and talk about some of the questions, because we weren't men competing against men. And I stopped competing against men years ago. Even though there's that competitive part of me that will always be there, I try to compete against myself now, because all I have to worry about in life is being a better version of me. I mean, you cross that bridge at some point. Most men do, where it's like, I I went through the stage of pounding on my chest. You know, I think we all do to some degree, but years ago I was blessed to where I got really comfortable in my own shoes and
Mhm.
learned that it's not about me competing with other men. It's about me competing with me and being a better person. And I think you ladies bring that out in a lot of the discussions is, this isn't who could lift the most weights. This isn't who's the prettiest, who's the richest. Those things really don't matter. And don't get me wrong, they do hold some weight, but as you mature and grow, you realize that the things that matter in life, I think for all of us, change. And it might be that, midlife, crisis point that both men and women have. And I think you have to understand that, I am not the same person I was when I was 35. I can do the things when I'm 35 or when I was 45. And that's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make me less of a man. It doesn't make me less of a woman. It doesn't make me less of anything. It's just another phase of life where now I can do things that I couldn't do at 35. I have more control over myself now than I did at 35. So I concur with Devin that I think it's a great way to spend your 6 weeks. And it's not a day commitment. It's not like you're asking people to commit, 5 hours a day to this. I think what we accomplished in these hour and a half sessions, was it?
Yeah.
I think you accomplished quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody who's not willing to commit an hour and a half to themselves, my guess is they're not growing as individuals. I
Or
don't
they're
care if
not
you're a
ready.
man or go ahead, Devin.
I said, or they're not ready. And that's okay. You
Yes.
know, I mean, that's the thing
Yes.
is that this type of growth is hard. It's not easy in any way, shape, or form. And to accept that you can be better is hard for some people. And I think that this, for those men that are looking for something better, to find out more about themselves, this is perfect. And you guys did a great job. I mean, I met
Yeah.
this guy, he's my brother for life. And one day I will shake his hand in person. And it is just amazing that, but I believe that we were ready for something like this. And some men are desperately looking for this. And I'm glad and honored that I got to be here.
Yeah. And if they're not looking for it, they need it. And maybe that's in their blind spot,
Yeah.
is that they don't see that they need it, because it is hard for all people sometimes to see what we need. It's like being a kid, right? You tell, if you have kids, we've all told our kids 100 times something. And then all of a sudden they come home one day and somebody else told them the exact same thing, and it clicked in them. It's like,
Mhm.
you got to be shitting me. I've been telling you this for like 6 months or maybe 6 years. And now all of a sudden it makes sense because your friend Booger Johnny brought it up while you were in the sandbox or doing something, whatever. And now all of a sudden it makes sense that,
Mhm.
sometimes people need to hear things from other people who care. And you ladies do care about men. One of the tough parts, I think, Devin, I think you'll concur with me. One of the really tough parts was realizing that we can swear just as good as the guys can, and that made it really interesting. I think it might intimidated some of the guys actually, that she could go at it pretty darn good when it comes to swearing. Which for me myself, I was impressed.
Me too. Me too. Very impressed.
Oh my God, you're making me turn like a tomato. I'm so red right now. We really do have a blast in our community, don't we? And it's just like where they're really truly honoring each other's rhythm and whatever stage we are at. And it's just like we're always trying to better ourselves 1% from the version of yesterday. And we're not here proclaiming that, you take the 6 weeks program, all of your problem will eventually disappear. It's that we're training you to tune in, to become more self-aware, to actually have the emotional maturity and intelligence to make the right choices for you so that you can thank yourself for committing today at the present moment to making better choices for your future self so that when you look back, you go, I can be proud of the decision that I make. And because I'm well supported, I'm among amazing brother who are also doing the tough, hard work, and it's keeping me accountable. And when you have somebody that you can play with that say, hey, you know what, you made that promise, you better stick to it, you're more likely to say, you know what, yeah, that's true, I gotta better step up. And I know, like, for example, when I go running around the circle, the block, when I'm just by myself, I'm like, I'm inclined to like slow down and want to cheat. But then as soon as there's people around, like my neighbor, I'm like, I better keep on running. Make it look like I'm running the full circle. But that extra pressure brings out the best in you. And that's what our brothers have here. And that's what for us as women, as sister to you, we're not here as pretending to be a guru or an expert. We're just sharing what works and how we facilitate that to create an environment that elevate everyone. It's a win-win for both men and women.
Yeah,
So
so
I agree. And we were all the same. We all take it a little easier when nobody's watching on occasionally, especially as you age. You tend to be like, all right, I don't have to kill myself doing this. I did that for, 30 years. And I love the term blind spot because you ladies were very good, both of you in your own ways, at shining light on no one in particular blind spot, but just pointing out. And I think in order for people to get the most out of this, you better be willing to be 100% honest with yourself.
Mhm.
It is the only way you become great at anything. If you want to be a great athlete, if you want to be a great father, mother, a great whatever it is, you've got to be 100% honest, 100% open, and 100% committed. And you will gain quite a bit from the 6 weeks.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I was going to say to that point, we honestly, we can tell when someone is not being honest with themselves.
Mhm.
You can tell. And you let them say what they're going to say, and you hear the words, but you know down deep, you just got that feeling. You're like,
Yeah.
they're not there yet. And through the right kind of probing or examples, I think we were able to have people, recognize the fact that, okay, maybe I'm not as true blue as I need to be. But the one thing that you reference that both Ree and I bring something different to it. I wanted to highlight that because Ree and I, we're not opposites. We are very, very different, but we are very, very complementary. And Ree has this passion and joy for life and just big picture. She's floating in I visualize it as this. She's floating in the sky. I have a string tied around her toe and I'm holding on to it. And she just floats around and she comes up with amazing ideas. Every once in a while I got a yank.
Mhm.
And then, I am the grounded energy. That's just who I am. I am the grounded energy. She is the innovator, the big thinker. And when you bring two people like that together who have done the work, I'm not saying we're done, but we have done a substantial amount of work on ourselves to get over some big issues that we've all had. We've gone through that journey down that path, and that's why we believe we can help others who are just starting on this path. You will get her exuberance, but then you will get, I'll call mine security because I am grounded. And so there are times where we ebb and flow. And I think that combination brings a new level. It allows for safety, but you can't escape. We're not motherly. We are far from motherly.
Yeah,
But
my mom never swore like Ree. I mean, I've never heard her talk like that, but no, you guys do complement each other very well.
so, I mean, for anyone who may be interested, just to know that we are a great partnership, and not everyone can have everything, but when you've got two people with a lot, you're getting even more.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree,
well.
Victoria, and you complement each other very well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fact that we're know that we are extremely strong individually as coach, as person, but we bring the best out of each other. We can work through so many different issues like Victoria and I, and there's just a deep love for each other, a deep respect. And we know that we're doing this work, it's beyond us, it's greater than us. The purpose is really to be of service to men. As a matter of fact, one of my friends said, when I had said, I want to do this men's circle to be of service to men. And that can come across as a way like almost like you're taming down your value to serve men. But I don't see it that way. I see that when you are a strong, solid woman, you are so okay of allowing the space of a man and accepting where they are, their role, and to being that woman that can hold the space in your feminine energy to be nurturing, to be giving and loving and affectionate, and to letting the man lead and to be okay with that and to be of service of something greater that benefits humanity overall. And that's what we really want to stand for. Both Victoria and I, we're not looking to compete. We want to stand for humanity, the brothers and sister combining force. We need the men to lead. Men are the one who are dying for the country, going to war. It's not the woman. Not that a woman can't do that. I'm not saying that a woman can, because like I love the movie Mulan. Like, the girl who was, dressed up disguised as a male soldier to go fight, and she was one of the strongest. I believe that it's possible, but it's not about that. For me, I really honor men and Victoria's too, and we are both extremely blessed to have healthy men in our life that we know that we're strong, and then we allow them the space to lead, to be able to follow their guidance and yet not lose ourselves in that identity. And because we have a healthy masculine and we know how a woman can relate to a man, how a man needs to show up to actually be able to leverage on all of that. That is very powerful. Two powerful women combined together as amazing coach. Like, what are the odds of getting that? You often get one man coaching a men's circle, one woman coaching a men's circle. Here you got a combination of both vision, power, enthusiasm to ground it. Somebody that will hear you and hold the space so that you can do that internal work.
I agree. So let me ask you ladies this question. What do you, how do you think it would be accepted if a man wanted to start a woman's circle? Do you think it would be near as accepted if a man wanted to? Because I've asked that question of several women, and I thought their answers were interesting. But what would you think if a man wanted to start a woman's circle?
I mean, women historically have had men telling women what they need and should want and what needs to happen. So for a man to say, to talk about a woman is not something that is unusual. I still have male doctors and stuff like that. So it's not unusual. But similarly to what Rhea and I are trying to convey here, is we're not telling men how to be masculine. We're not telling men how to be men. We are just highlighting the fact of what, from a woman's point of view, what masculinity and being unshakable, even more so, is unshakable, is attractive, and what we need in our lives to step into us being feminine, our full femininity. So if a man were to come to me and say that you have a blind spot around being unshakable and worthiness and your femininity and whatever else we might want to say, I would hear him out, because if, to your point before, if it's a blind spot, I can't see it. And if it's coming from a man who's got a different point of view, I would be curious to hear what he had to say. So to me, it's intriguing, as long as he's not trying to tell me how to be a woman.
Right. And you
You
guys
know,
you never told us how to be men. But in the same breath, what I read is it would be maybe different for a man to hold a woman's group versus a woman holding a man's group.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a
Go ahead.
sensitivity for women, just like what Victoria said, for century. We have to fight the men to be able to claim our spaces. So that still stays within people. And it doesn't mean that
Hmm.
a man could not lead a woman's group. It just depends on the circle of women that you have, or these progressive women who maybe don't have as much trauma or experience bad situation where a man is dictating and telling him how to be or how to evolve. But if you have a woman that is progressive enough, like Victoria and I, we have no problem. Actually, I look forward. I have my therapist for many, many years. I usually just feel comfortable going to a woman because I think that they would understand my issue. But my best therapist, I can tell you, hands down, was actually a man because as a good therapist, they know how to utilize their skill set of listening, paraphrasing, challenging you, and actually getting you to see things from a male perspective, from a more holded lens, which is what we're trying to do with the men, that really allows me to grow even faster. And that was one of my best therapists. And so for me, I'm a huge proponent. If a man wants to lead a women's group and these women feel comfortable and safe, why the heck not? I curse like a sailor, so that'd be my spiel.
Interesting. Very interesting. Ladies, it has been a pleasure. And I can't thank you enough for being a part of our lives now. Not just from the group, but as friends. It is colleagues, and I think we all want very similar things. We want to uh, support each other. Both you ladies come from a very servant leadership standpoint, something that I've embraced years ago, realizing that I am very much a servant leader. And the whole nature of that, if you think about it, is somebody who's manly isn't, and especially if you want to look back in time, isn't somebody who serves. There's somebody who gets served. But the manliest thing you could do is be a servant leader. And not just the manliest thing, but I think just the right thing for all of us to be, because I think it creates an opportunity for everybody to win. If I'm here to serve Ree and Devin and Victoria, I can have 3 people that win, 4 including myself. If I'm just here serving myself, I only have 1 winner. I want to have 4 winners standing up on that pyramid, not 1. 1 is a lonely number, right? 1 is a horrible lonely number. Not to quote the song, but it is. I would rather have 4, 10, 50 people standing on top. And the only way to get that is to have a servant leadership mindset. And I think you ladies brought that. And I think the men like Devin and the rest of them embrace that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you. That
Share a
was
screen. Yeah, thank
wonderful.
you very much. I want to be able to share a screen of the testimonial of the unshakable men. So let me end with this. Let me share the video of the experience of men, how that was for them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let me know if you can hear it. Okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Devin Orell, and I've been attending the Unshakable Masculinity class, and it's absolutely amazing. It's being taught by women and giving us a totally new viewpoint of what masculinity is. And I know you may be thinking it's being taught by women, but it's amazing to see what masculinity is through their eyes. And you get to meet other men, other brothers. It is just a fantastic course, and I highly recommend it. I've been through other men groups before, and this viewpoint is breathtaking. It's refreshing, and it is handled with love and care, and it's just wonderful. I cannot say too many good things about it. It's wonderful, and I highly recommend it.
Hey guys, Leandro Alvarez talking here. I'm coming here today to talk to you about the Unshakable Masculine Blueprint. I did 5 weeks with them, and it's amazing. Victoria Wrights and Reed Wong, the leaders of the group, are amazing to talk to and understanding what you're going through. And I made a lot of friends in there, people very nice to speak with, to just laugh, cry, and say whatever is on your mind. Nobody's judging you, and if they do, it's only to help you. So it was a very, very eye-opening for me, understanding a lot of behavior that I have. The good ones just understand why I am the way I am, help me be better for the future, and help me change for the people that I love, on those little things that we all do have to change a little bit growing up, because life is changing around us and we need to go and do that too. So Unshakable Masculine Blueprint is a go for it. Have fun, guys. We all welcome you with open arms, and it's just gonna be a blast. Yeah, just come check by yourself, see for yourself, and you'll see you're gonna enjoy it.
I recommend for everyone, I recommend for every person, every male, contact with you, join with you, and got admission in your Unshakable Masculine Energy. Because of that, it's very necessary. You are dealing to minimize or remove the extra burden, extra pressure on the males, on the shoulder of the males. Because of that, if most of the time males are not taught to how to feel, they are only taught how to do. They are only doing for others, they are only doing for family, friends, and society, not for themselves.
Hello, this is a quick shout out to my two girls, Ree and Victoria, that run the Unshakable Winter Men's Circle. It has been a very interesting and eye-opening 6 weeks that I've spent with you ladies and other gentlemen. And it really is eye-opening, the things we don't think about, that you provide us the opportunity to not just think about, but to talk about and to hopefully implement into our lives. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're making a difference. Have a great day and God bless.
There you go. That was perfect. We ended up with Brian closing us off. So Brian, close us off on the Facebook Live.
I will do. Once again, it was a pleasure. More than anything, I value the friendship, and the camaraderie. And I know for myself, and I probably could speak for the rest of the guys, with the exception of Devin, he's here, that if there's any way I can serve you or help anybody here, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I truly mean that. Devin, any parting words?
You know, the brotherhood that we have will never end. I love that. And all the guys that I met through this thing, they'll always be in my heart and as friends as well. I just think what you two ladies are doing is fantastic. And this needed to be done years ago. And I'm glad that you are taking the bull by the horns and running with it. And I think this will be a needed and very successful thing. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Devin, I think we were going to start a women's group and invite Ree and Victoria to our women's
I
group.
won't
I think
start.
they'd be our first two.
No. I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I will do men's groups till, but no. Nope. Nope. I will. No. I'll just drink coffee. I'm good.
All right, ladies, thank you for the questions, the opportunities. I meant what I said earlier. God bless, and have a great weekend, end of the week and weekend.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Brian. Thank you, everyone.